What's going on, guys? Wade here in Ridgway, Iowa today. This is my home state currently. I just moved to Des Moines recently. This is an interesting site. The church burned down back in the 60s. This is a rural location where the graveyard surrounded the church. The church was in the center, and then on both sides is a cemetery. Here with Atlas Preservation today, expecting to get a lot of work done.
Now it's starting to pour. So I don't know if we want to try to wait this out for a few minutes or what. I'm not going to be able to do much in this.
What? I can't hear you. The rain is too loud.
I appreciate everyone coming out this morning. Strong turnout here, even though it was pouring earlier this morning. Back in 2020, when everything came to a halt, got really frustrated, and I decided to create this 48-state tour thing. And the original mission was to do 48 events in 48 states in 48 days, including travel. and I started on that quest on August 20th of 2020. All total, I did 41 events in 49 days because I had added District of Columbia, and I drove about 16,000 miles. It was a huge success. I can definitively say that there's a national practice, especially in the 1800s. Here we are, 1899. This carried into the early 1900s as well. They were using local material for the bases. So here what we have is a classic example. Well, this is not bonded here as well. There's a delamination of this lower base, which is a complete separation, and the base is broken into two pieces. This is a limestone. The way it's formed is layer upon layers being compressed together. That's called the geological bedding plane because it was formed in that layer. When the ground gets wet, it gets absorbed into this stone like a wick. Stone, especially like a limestone or sandstone, is a very porous material. It's like a sponge. When the ground gets wet, just like last night today, it gets drawn into this, and then when the sun comes out, like it just did a second ago, it starts evaporating up through it, and ultimately it's delaminated right at grade, and so that kind of is an indication that it's also associated with a rising damp issue. So what to do with a stone like this? How do we fix this gravestone? If this is only one delamination area, we might be able to work with this and rejoin it, but we have to dig around it, raise the base up, clean the surfaces, and then we can consider joining it. Also, we have other loose elements. It's kind of a bit of a can of worms when there's a bad base. So if this base is beyond repair, which it may be, one inexpensive option would be to cast a replacement base out of a modern concrete material. We could learn a whole bunch of stuff out of this just by looking at this stone. Looks like it also had a big hole maybe drilled in. Here's the pin. We have a significantly sized limestone base and then an upper marble base with a socket. The bottom of this has a tenon on it. You can actually see it right here. And that tenon would fit in here. Forensically, we can look back and see what's going on here. First of all, we have a lower base that's disintegrating. It's poor quality stone. And you can see it's delaminating like so many of these limestone bases. However, they also drilled and put these iron pins in. And so they put two big iron pins in that were tying this upper base. They were tying this together with these metal pins. Now we can see the way this continues to deteriorate because there's metal still lodged in here, and this will fill up with water. It's just dissolving this base. This actually has the same pinning I'm looking at now, but this piece actually joins. This doesn't even move right now, the tablet, without digging it. There's a whole nother base under here. I don't think there's concrete. This is like a base with a wash on it. This is stuck in the ground, but it looks like a solid stone that's not broken. And then, yeah, it's a big job to join it all and get it up. What else did they do? We're just trying to get all of this lichen and stuff off of this. Conduction was accidentally killed on duty December 22nd, 1881. January 18th. You got to take away the old material first generally, or either that or go over it. And it's hard to take off, so it depends what the material was and how it was bonded. So we'll just use this portion of this and we'll just break this into like pieces like this here and one on your side there. Okay, so then we're gonna go on to this step. Here there's a lot of erosion, so I'm gonna use an extra thick bead.
Oh, okay, I see.
Because the base is worn away. Just put one down, as long as this fits under like that, you should be good. So then just pull it out quick. That's it. 15 or something. This is a pre-blended material that already has sand in it. This is a historic pointing mortar, which is a mortar that is more compatible with the marble. You want to be compatible, so modern mortars are going to be way too hard. We don't want to use a modern mortar on historic stuff. It's generally not going to work out well in the long run. Normally, in 99% of mortars today, the binder is Portland cement. The binder in this is something called natural hydraulic lime. Normally, you'd mix this and give it about 20 minutes to sit, but we're not going to do that. So doing mortar work, we want the stone always to be damp. I'm going to do what's called a scratch coat first. I'm literally scratching it in, and then I'm going to build up off of that so we get a good bond. This is going to be slower setting, so we have some decent working time here. Okay, looking pretty good here. We're going to do 2 opposing choke hitches. When you lift with a tripod, the first lift is what you got to be careful about, because that's when if there's an issue. So what I'm going to do is put some here. The idea is the mortar is going to rise up also, and then we're going to repoint it as well. Go all the way down. All the way down. Okay, so we just have to work on kind of doing some pointing work here now. I'm gonna put like a wash on this. I'm gonna dry this out a little. I'll show you another trick we can do. This is pretty wet. If we dry it out, we'll reduce the shrinkage. So I can take this and I can compress this and I can dry out this mortar significantly. Right? So I dried this way out now, okay, and now it's a much more workable material. So what I'm gonna do, this is gonna strengthen it, protect the joint further. For mortar like this, especially historic mortar, we should keep it moist, but especially with lime mortar for 72 hours. A lot of time what I'll do is I'll cover it with plastic or damp paper towel first, and then plastic to keep it moist. If you can't find the missing pieces, it might be better just to set it flat into the ground on gravel or something. I mean, anything is fixable, but it may not last, and you're gonna have to make parts. It's tricky. This is a tricky base to make. It's not gonna match perfectly, but no one answer to that. Family was paying for it and really wanted it done. Well, I mean, say if you had the bases, then you would just attach this, just like we did, and then you'd have to join this first. So there's a lot of loss, but what you could do is after you do the repair, then you'd fill in the loss, and you could do that either with like the Acapox, like I do with the stone dust, the marble fine stone dust, or you could use Pratley putty, and that would add a lot of strength. Thank you. Thanks for coming again, and sorry we got a rain delay, but appreciate it, and maybe we'll see you again next time around. Yeah. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. But that's fine. It's,